The Convention on Business Integrity (CBI) is a business membership organization established in 1997 and incorporated in 2003 with the mission of promoting ethical business practices in the public and private sectors. The CBI recently put together the 4th annual Christopher KOLADE lecture with the theme "Does Business Integrity Matter?" at the venue Victoria Island, Lagos. Keynote speaker was Dr. Wale Akinyemi, Chief Executive Officer, Power Talks Limited, Kenya. As expected, the business community turned out in their numbers for the lecture. Welcoming guests to the lecture, the Acting Chairman Governing Board of CBI, Mr. Okpeyemi Agbaje, took guests through the various private and national assignments where Dr. KOLADE had excelled. Giving his brief remarks, Dr. KOLADE stated that unless those who believe in integrity stand or oppose those who don't, the journey against corruption may be longer than we think in Nigeria.
Integrity is what we do ourselves. We do what is right because we know it is right. But integrity is also what we stand for. We stand for what is right. Not just that we do it, but we make ourselves visible and audible so that people who want to point to examples of places where things are done well can choose us as examples. We stand for what is right. But I think perhaps the most important part of what we do in integrity in our nation is what we stand against.
In the contemporary business world, integrity is one of the most sought after qualities not only of individuals but of companies. In his goodwill message, the special guest of honor, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo SAN, who was ably represented by Dr. Mrs. Jumoke Oduwole, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Industry, Trade and Investment, Office of the Vice President, stated that the President Buhari-led government is committed to diversifying the economy away from oil to facilitate private sector-led growth and development. Delivering the theme of the lecture, Dr. Wale Akinyemi, Chief Executive Officer, Power Talks Limited, Kenya, stated that there can be no integrity without the right structure to support it.
It does appear to be the case that integrity and structure go together. Where the right structures are in place, it does not matter how bad things may look, and neither does it matter the reality of events.
The panel discussion at the lecture provided a platform for sharing practical experiences on business integrity. Panelists were Mr. Okpeyemi Agbaje, Acting Chairman, Governing Board CBI, Professor Bolaji Owosanoye, Executive Secretary, Presidential Advisory Committee on Corruption, and Mr. Frank Aibogu, Publisher and Managing Director, Business Day Media Limited. Moderator was Mr. Olusoji Akpankpa, Executive Director, Integrity Organization, CBI. In the last 5 years, Nigeria has scored less than 2.8 points in the Corruption Perception Index. This perceived all-encompassing culture of corruption gives the impression that there is no room for anyone to operate outside its borders. A strong consensus, however, has grown that if Nigeria is to develop, the battle against corruption must be fought on all different battles, including the private sector. The idea of hosting a unified national conference by the insurance industry was a conception of the Insurance Industry Consultative Council (IICC) as a way of projecting the Nigerian insurance industry as a unified subsector that would attract better respect and recognition by members of the public and relevant stakeholders. With the success of the maiden edition in 2015, the second edition was recently held at the Congress Hall, Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. The theme was expanding national resources and infrastructure in challenging times. Many believe that the theme of the conference this year could not have been more timely and apt than now, when the policy direction of the present administration is towards rebuilding a viral national economy through diversification and expansion of national and infrastructural resources. Welcoming delegates to the conference, the Commissioner for Insurance, who was the chief host, Alhaji Muhammad Kari, said that government must ensure the protection of public assets through necessary insurances and providing funds to pay for them.
The effort of the market need to continue to be supported by government and the legislature. Government need to ensure adequate protection of public assets and the timely funding of such.
It is a known fact that there cannot be genuine and sustainable economic growth and development without a vibrant insurance industry to support it. In her opening remarks, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosu, stated that the insurance industry must embark on incremental recapitalization to improve their size and capacity.
The industry needs to recapitalize. Capital levels were last raised in 2007. To take true advantage of the opportunity for the industry, we've got to recapitalize, we've got to reposition. The top three banks have capital in excess of 300 billion each. The top three insurers have capital of between 14 billion and 25 billion. It's just not enough for the size of the market.
With her brief remarks, Mrs. Adeosu proceeded to formally declare the 2016 National Insurance Conference open. With the opening formalities over, delegates settled down for serious deliberations on the theme and sub-theme papers of the conference. The first paper, which is the theme of the conference, Expanding National Resources and Infrastructure in Challenging Times, was taken by Dr. Biodun Adedipe, CEO B Associates, and Mr. Kunle Elebute, Country Managing Partner, KPMG Nigeria. Moderator was Mr. Edi Efekwa, Chairman, Nigerian Insurers Association. In his presentation, Dr. Adedipe noted that both income growth and infrastructural improvement are mutually reinforcing. In his own presentation, Mr. Lebute recommended that the insurance industry should collectively establish an insurance infrastructure investment fund. The second paper of the conference focused on managing risk associated with non-oil resources exploration. Guest speaker was Ambassador B. Olorufemi. Discussants were Mr. Wahid Olagunju, Acting Chief Executive Officer, Bank of Industry; Mr. Patrick Ojeka, Director, Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals; Mr. Shino Elushaki, Executive Director, Industrial and General Insurance; and Mr. Ralph Okpara, President, Institute of Law Justice of Nigeria, Ilan. In his submission, Mr. Olagunju stated that the country cannot make meaningful progress without infrastructure, be it in agriculture, manufacturing, or mining. The third paper of the conference focused on insurance as a vehicle for agricultural development. Guest speaker was Mr. Adelaja Adeshino of Bedlam Consult. Discussants were Ms. Laura Mati, Assistant Vice President, Swiss Re Insurance Company Limited; Prince Dakbo Adeshida, who stood in for Chief Dr. Femi Koka, President of Farmers Association of Nigeria; and Mr. Bashir Hilari Binji, Acting Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, NAIC. Moderator was Mr. Adim Jibuno of Hess Holdings. The fourth paper of the conference focused on the expected role of insurance in infrastructural development. Guest speaker was Mr. Babatunde Fashola, SAN, Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing. Discussants were Professor Charles Iyate, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Mortgage Refinancing Co. Limited; Mr. Adekunle Abdul Razak Oyinloye, Managing Director, The Infrastructure Bank PLC; and Mr. Wale Oshin, Group Managing Director, Custodian and Allied Insurance PLC. Moderator was Mr. Ganiyu Musa, Group Managing Director, Cornerstone Insurance PLC. The high point of the 2016 National Insurance Conference was a closing dinner aptly tagged the Grand Ball. It provided an atmosphere for relaxation and also to say goodbye to friends and colleagues.
The LCCI recently put together its 2016 Presidential Policy Dialogue session at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island. Special guest of honor and keynote speaker was the Vice President, His Excellency Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, GCON, while chairman of the occasion was the President of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, GCON. Welcoming guests to the dialogue session, the President of the LCCI, Dr. Mrs. Nike Akonde, stated that the ease of doing business in Nigeria remains a major challenge.
Investment climate issues and cost of doing business are very critical issues that need to be tackled, as the ease of doing business remains a major challenge. The key cost drivers are the high energy costs, depreciating exchange rate, high cost of funds, high transportation costs, high transaction cost of import, high import duty, among others. There is a limit to which of these costs can be passed on to the consumers, especially in the context of weak and declining purchasing power.
The LCCI, since its incorporation in 1950 as a non-profit making organization, has remained the voice of the organized private sector. In his brief remarks, the chairman of the occasion, Alhaji Dangote, stated that the Nigerian economy will bounce back from recession.
Policy gaps will be identified and also strategies articulated for the closing of these gaps. We are always very, very confident, and I think the drop of price of oil, Your Excellency, should not really bother us. We should look into the diversification of the economy, and I can assure you this economy is very resilient, it's very large, and I'm sure we'll be able to bounce back. It is a good lesson for us, and I think we have started learning those lessons, and we will get to the promised land.
Other speakers were Dr. Usmane Dore, Country Director, Africa Development Bank; Honorable Babangida Ibrahim, Chairman, House Committee on Finance; Engineer Saidu Mohammed, Executive Director, Gas and Power, NNPC; Senator Udoma Udo Udoma, Honorable Minister of Budgets and National Planning, and a host of others. Delivering the keynote address, the special guest of honor, Professor Oshibanjo, stated that the present administration is committed to working with the private sector in line with best practices.
We think that it's absolutely important that in order to deliver on our ease of doing business, that the states collaborate with us effectively, and we've received firm commitments from the states that they will work with us closely to ensure that we're able to deliver on our promises on the ease of doing business. The present administration is a strong believer in public-private sector dialogue. We've scheduled periodic meetings with the private sector to ensure quality feedback to make the policy process inclusive. We will institutionalize a quarterly business briefing as a means of permanent this policy dialogue starting next quarter.
Given the high-level deliberations, the business community had questions for the Vice President. Many believe that despite the current recession, the Nigerian economy will bounce back because it is resilient, full of incredibly innovative and dynamic entrepreneurs, vibrant markets, tremendous resource endowments, with an uncontested reputation for hard work.
The Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, NCRIB, is the umbrella association of all registered insurance brokers in Nigeria. The NCRIB is made up of all various committees nationwide. Of all the committees of the NCRIB, the Lagos area is the most vibrant chapter. Friends and well-wishers recently gathered at the broker's house for the investiture of Mr. Olusegun Kafaru as the 8th chairman of the Lagos Area Committee of the NCRIB. In his welcome and valedictory speech, the immediate past chairman of the LAC, Mr. Ayo Akonde, said that his team made positive efforts to advance the cause of not just the LAC but the NCRIB in general during their 2-year tenure.
We made positive efforts to uphold the legacies of the experts that served before us. And of course, we also tried our best to build on those legacies. We were able to advance the cause of the LAC in particular, and the overall policy and interest of the NCRIB as a whole.
In his keynote address, the chief host, the president of the NCRIB, who was represented by the deputy president of the NCRIB, Alhaji Shola Semiu Tinubu, said that the area committees of the council is the medium through which they communicate to the grassroots of the membership of the NCRIB. Delivering the investiture lecture, the guest speaker, Mr. Sunday Adeyemi, Registrar and CEO, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, who spoke on the topic leadership, noted that a leader is the person who can inspire others to bring their best to any organization.
What leadership is all about is about bringing the best in ourselves and other people. The leader is the person who is able to inspire others to do the right things to achieve the objective of the organization or institution.
With the speeches taken, friends, members, and well-wishers witnessed the investiture of Mr. Olusegun Kafaru as the 8th chairman of the Lagos Area Committee of the NCRIB.
It's going. It is done! Mr. Akode is free for now. And of course, the mantle of leadership is finding Mr. Olusegun Kafaru, a man who is heavily fit to take over the chain of office. Going, coming, and I stop. Ladies and gentlemen.
Following the election of Mr. Edi Efekoha at the 45th Annual General Meeting of the NIA, dignitaries from all walks of life recently gathered at the Grand Ballroom, Eko Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, for the investiture ceremony of Mr. Edi Efekoha as the 22nd Chairman of Council of the Nigerian Insurance Association, NIA. The very colorful investiture ceremony was chaired by Dr. Lai Fatonu, Managing Director, Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC. Welcoming guests to the ceremony, the chairman of the occasion, Mr. Fatonu, said the insurance industry can do more to retain premiums within the country, especially in the oil and gas business.
Eddie, you are now going to be installed as the 22nd chairman of the Nigerian Insurance Association. This is good growth, good direction. I think I'm still personally unhappy that as an all-industry practitioner, all the premiums that I pay to secure our assets still leave the shores of this country. And I think I want to challenge this association under your leadership to do something about how you are going to capture this aspect of insurance. Let me therefore, on behalf of all of us here today, wish Eddie a successful and result-oriented tenure as the 22nd chairman of the Nigerian Insurance Association.
Delivering his opening remarks, the special guest of honor, the Commissioner for Insurance, Alhaji Mohammed Kari, stated that the reputation of any organization is its greatest asset. The investiture ceremony of the NIA, as always, presents the association the opportunity to showcase the insurance industry and forge closer ties with the government, investors, and other critical stakeholders. The high point of the ceremony was the investiture of Mr. Eddie Efekoha as the 22nd chairman of the NIA. On hand to do the honors was the oldest past chairman of the NIA, Mr. A.A. Akintunde. Mr. Eddie Efekoha is a seasoned insurance practitioner with a proven track record and experience in all aspects of insurance practice, spanning over a period of about 30 years. In his acceptance speech, Mr. Efekoha said that the theme of his administration, which is sustainable market development through stakeholders' engagement, will focus on 4 critical areas, namely stakeholders' engagement, market development and discipline, new NIA building projects, and educational endowment fund.
Let somebody give me an N. You got an N and you get an N. That's the way it should be. Let somebody give me an I. These people no go. Okay. And let somebody give me a final A.
And that's a wrap of the highlights of some of the major events of 2016 that we covered and profiled right here on the program. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Join us next week as we kickstart our 2-part Town Hall special, Best of 2016. These are interviews on the Town Hall that you have never seen before, and trust me, you don't want to miss this for anything in the world. Now, starting from the 19th of January, ALMOND is moving to a brand new time belt of 11 a.m. every Thursday on this station. So please move with us as we guarantee you only the best of topical issues, big events, and education on the dynamics of the insurance industry. Don't forget to follow us on all our platforms, email, and website. Until we come your way next week, I am Jennifer Obidiogbe, and from the entire ALMOND family, we wish you and yours a prosperous 2017. Bye-bye.